A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to A to Y, another episode brought to you by Asi and Yasas. Um, Sorry, there's some problem today because I'm connected, but I don't see Azi here. Let's give him probably about a minute to. Oh, yay! So, ladies and gentlemen, today we have a difference than any other day. Azi and Yasas, A to Y is here together today. So we are connected today from the same place, not virtually in two different countries. We're in the same country. So once again, warmly welcome everyone. How about you, Azi? How are you?
Feeling good and good to see you.
Good to see you
After
too.
a year and a half only I'm seeing you. Yes,
Seriously. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be back with my good friend. And so today we are bringing this together from one location, A to Y. And what are we going to talk there?
Let's continue what we have stopped last week. We spoke about sales conversion and it's a very important element in sales, right? So we thought of talk about or rather speak about the conversion, the second level of conversion, how exactly the process is. We are going to cover the process about.
So let's give a quick reminder. Last week we talked about the sales funnel. We talked about awareness, consideration, conversion. So what you're saying is today we'll go in depth about consideration.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So let's move on. I'm going to be the controller, and Aziz is going to be the speaker today. So let's go to the first slide. What are we talking here, Aziz?
So when you say, for an example, Yasas, if you wanted to purchase a product or services, what exactly the things that goes through your mind?
First of all, there's something that I want,
Mhm.
right? It can be a need,
Mhm.
and I'm thinking about it. I just want that.
Precisely. So whenever we wanted something, obviously there's a need. Now, certain instance, if you don't have the need to purchase that product or services, obviously the sales expert will make you that you actually have to have a need and make you aware about the need. So we are going to touch upon this need, and I really like this topic just as the specific reason. It's mainly based on two elements. Can you guess what are these two elements?
I think if I make a guess, it's going to be different, but I've seen the slides, so it won't be right for me to also say it. But yeah, I think it's good if you say it itself.
Yes. So all your actions basically take based on one element. Now, if you are thinking, the element is it's starting from E, which is emotions. Now, human beings are emotional beings, and human beings, emotional beings, we take action based on the emotion that we have.
Definitely.
So let's dive a little bit into this element. Yes.
We must say these are, when you say emotions are very broad, right? You have like emotions that come with anger, relationship, different types of emotion. But here, what we're talking is related to and buying it. Right?
Exactly. So as a sales expert, you must understand what is the emotion your buyer is going through.
Yeah.
So what is this rational action? So rational action is something that you can actually measure. So based on the emotional feeling, based on the feeling that we take action. Say for an example, if let's say you are hungry yourself or you are thirsty. What do you do when you are thirsty?
I try to fulfill my thirst. So if I have water close by, I would have water. But if I'm a little bit greedy, I will think more than water. I'll try to have some soft drink, a juice, or something that could be probably a want than a need. Right?
Exactly. You don't drink and think about the need,
No.
right? So obviously you need to feel that urge. Like, I'm feeling thirsty. So thirsty is an emotion. So based on that, you take that rational decision.
Okay. So rational decisions are always okay. I think if you go a bit deeper, emotional things are what we do sometimes without a thought process, where we don't evaluate. Rational is we think, we take steps, right? So sometimes when we are acting in anger, our rational thinking is less, emotional thinking is more. That's why you feel like punching someone. That's why you feel all the nice words in the world that you normally don't talk comes out.
Especially when you are driving in the vehicle.
I'm feeling it. All sorts of fingers are pointing out suddenly, which were not used the last couple of months. But So that's emotional, right?
That's emotional.
Rational is when you're thinking and when you want to pull your finger and you're thinking, should I or should I not?
Correct. So sometimes now, as a sales expert, what you have to do is you must understand whether your client is taking a rational action and what is the emotion behind this rational action. If you know that, that's going to give you more leverage than your competition when you are converting the sale.
Exactly. And then most of the time, if it's a B2B situation where you're buying for a company or the purchaser in your client company is buying for someone, it's a product or service, there's a rational need the company has.
Absolutely.
But individually, they may have emotional. Right? Example, because we are coming from the tech industry, a lot of tech solutions. If you look at tech solutions for the company, is a rational need because they want to build efficiency in whatever they want to do. But the emotional need, if it's a CIO, would be the daily pressure he's going through, the stress he has, how much the current system or deficiency of a system, not having a system, the problems that's creating him. This is emotionally.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's go to the next part.
Yeah. What is this? What is this? Yes. What is this onion?
Yeah, I was wondering what it is at first, and then I realized it has to be either garlic or it has to be an onion or maybe a big onion.
Okay, I didn't see this slide. Did you add it later?
I added it later because I was wondering. Like me, people really wonder what on earth is this with the bushy part at the bottom. So and then when you put this slide, this is exactly what came to my mind. Brought me back to Shrek. And where Shrek says onions are yes. Okay.
Okay. Right, good. It's good that you have mentioned that. So now let's say when you wanted to sell a certain product or service, right? Obviously your client has an emotional and rational need. But you are not actually selling the product or service. You are making an impact to the client. Now, if you talk about the emotional side, few of the areas that you have to focus is what is the pain point the client is going through, what kind of an experience that he or she is experiencing, and the symptoms is basically simply about the environment and the situation that these individuals are going through, and based on the environment they react or respond.
Yeah, symptoms are simply like the sicknesses, right? When you get a temperature, when you start coughing, those are the symptoms. And then you go in and you figure out, okay, this is a common cough, this is a cold, or this is a flu, which probably is the diagnosis.
Absolutely.
Right? So emotionally, when you look at it, everyone goes through it. Like when you take the example you're talking about, if it's a system deficiency, okay, let's say maybe not having a proper collaboration tool in an organization, right? And then you bring in, let's say, Zoom for a remote company, or you bring Google Meet or Microsoft Teams or whatever. Now, before you bring that, the symptom is communication is bad, emails are not followed through, there's a lot of misunderstanding. So you see all these symptoms, frustrations, all these problems coming up. And then, you see the pain points, people are complaining and all those things. And then experience you create from that could be negative or positive, whatever it is, you see that experience. So all these build up to that emotional need of having something to solve this collaboration issue. If you take that example.
100%. Right? I really like the example you brought in, Yasas, because I remember our organization #33. So we didn't had a proper internal communication channel. Either we use Facebook Messenger or either we use WhatsApp. Now we brought in Slack. And surprisingly, within 3 weeks, our entire team adapted for this Slack. And even when they wanted to communicate to us, they don't take a normal call. Now they take a Slack call. Yeah. That extent.
Exactly. Of course, when you say now is like probably 1.5 years ago or 2 years ago when we adopted Slack. But I think that's the exact experience that we can talk about. Earlier, the pain points were nobody could figure out where we communicated, when we communicated. Somebody says, yes, I remember something like that. Now bringing in tool like Slack, or we've actually gone into more other tools like Notion and so on and so forth, you now have solved those things. And the experience now from a negative is positive. Pain points have either minimized or disappeared.
Correct. Correct. So one of the challenges that we went through when we are using Facebook Messenger. So certain times when we create certain creatives for our clients, sometimes we have a separate channel and we upload it there. Sometimes we email it, but there's no formality. Now we have one folder. Whenever we require, we can access. So the symptoms, the pain that we had, we actually minimize it, and now we because of that reason we are having a chance to support our clients effectively.
Exactly. So that emotional points, emotional need actually was that. But from a business point of view, the rational side, if you talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, because this rational point is equally important like emotional factor. Why it's important? Because now, for an example, our organization has 3 one of the rational needs that we have is we wanted to achieve X amount of revenue by end of this year, by end of next year, year after. So every time, every day we have certain targets level. So I'm talking about the revenue. So that revenue is a measurable thing.
Exactly. And if you take the same example, how the emotional pain was bringing into rational pain was because communication was breaking down. Their processes are not followed. A lot of blame games, a lot of misunderstanding. So rationally, there was a drop because delivery was delayed, KPIs were not achieved. All this would impact on your revenue because you can't probably manage things better, so you need more people, or people are overloaded because there's a lot of communication gaps. We're probably exaggerating a bit, but then rationally, then you see the pain points that your company is going through.
Correct. Correct. So because of that reason, we understand and identify there's a revenue gap in certain time. So because of that, we ask the right questions from internal folks as well as within the leadership. So because of this questioning, we manage to identify the symptoms and their experience, where we manage to bring a beautiful element of supporting the impact for the organization.
Exactly. And if we talk about this in a customer situation, it comes all the time, because sometimes when you speak to the actual users of the solution or product, their emotional need is different to the organization customer. And sometimes they don't understand the rational need. For them, the emotional need is something else. So as a salesperson, if you're going in, you need to really understand who has what requirement and what sort of requirement. Is it a rational requirement, or is it an emotional requirement, or is it emotional and rational both? Or even from individual buyers, right? People think differently. Some people think totally emotionally. Their first point of thought is emotional. Another person will be rational. And then sometimes emotional and rational people don't, work together because they feel like the other person doesn't get you. So you need to identify the impact, and you need to ask the right question.
Absolutely, absolutely. So something I want to highlight here also is these questions that not necessarily have to be right, but impactful questions.
Definitely.
Probably what we can do is maybe after another couple of episodes, Yasas, we can create a formula framework, what kind of questions that
Exactly.
we can ask.
That's a very good suggestion, Asi, because I think it's very important today's day. Questioning itself is an art. Like even whether you take it from innovation perspective, whether you take it from lean startup perspective, or if you take it in a day-to-day life situation, questioning, sometimes people don't like questioning, but questioning is actually one important form of communication. And there are many ways you can do questioning. There's something called question storming. You can use frameworks like the 5Ws. 5Ws 1H, or the 5 Ys rather. So, or you can have Ishikawa diagram, or a fishbone diagram. So there are various frameworks. So maybe as we'll take a separate episode on questioning, and we'll bring those points for you, because time is running and we want to kind of rush through this.
So we actually have another minute to complete, because we commit to you to deliver good information within 15 minutes. So consideration moment that matters. I believe that let's talk about this next week, Yasas.
Okay, so let's leave it for next week, and because we are just on the dot, so let's talk about what are these moments that matters to the client and how to take consideration as a point. So we hope in these 15 minutes we discuss every week with you that you're getting something. Personally, we are getting some good reviews. We get a lot of questions asked. We are getting I would say we are getting only good feedback.
Absolutely.
So we would like to also hear from you whether there's any other feedback that you'd like to leave with us, any other points you want to raise in. So please go in, follow us through the #33 Facebook page, or you can go into #33 YouTube channel, or even a LinkedIn page, and you can watch this live series. So I think with that we come to an end, and I don't know, maybe the next week also the two of us will be together. Or
We
might-
never know. We
Yeah.
never know. Probably I might be in UAE.
You never know.
We never know.
Never know. So stay tuned for another important and interesting episode of A to Y. Please send us your message. Leave a comment below. Criticize. You can accept. You can put in your thoughts, and we are there to accept, discuss, and take this forward.
Absolutely.
So we call it a day.
Yes. Thank you so much. You have been an awesome audience. So next week, same time, we are going to catch you.
See you then.
Cheers.
Yes. Bye.